Top fan and known miscreant Matthew Lloyd would like to know, with SpaceX set to establish colonies on Mars in the near future, would you be interested in being one of the pioneers pushing the boundaries of humanity forward across our solar system, or would you prefer to visit Mars as a tourist only? Um, Needless to say, for my entire life, I would have wanted to be one of the people pushing the boundaries and being one of the pioneers. I think that's kind of feel like on some level that's what it was built for. But that was before I got married. And this is not a question of like, oh, these are now my shackles. On the contrary, it's like uh, after I see the change in my, just the overall change in my emotional state after getting married, I understand why. Um, I mean, I wasn't out there doing stuff that was quite that dangerous, but flying experimental airplanes and having three engine failures is not, that's a high risk uh, occupation. And I did it for 10 years and I loved it. And I loved it because I didn't have anything to lose. I really didn't. I really didn't have anything to lose. And now I do. So watching just constantly, you know, just can't get enough military history. I was just today finished reading a book about the first day on the Somme, um, and and this kind of thing has to be done by young men, and it's just the way that young men are. And I was a teenager until I was 56. And then suddenly I had to be an adult. And I'm still trying to figure that out, as she will tell you. But this is the thing that's so strange for me. I had 1,000 hours instrument rating, and I met Natasha, and then I just didn't have any desire to go flying anymore. It wasn't like I was worried, and it wasn't like she was asking me not to. On the contrary, she went for a couple rides. I just had no interest in going. The plane just sat in the hangar for 13 months, and I realized that that flying was a substitute for some aspect of my life that wasn't really being fulfilled. And look, I still think exploration is great. And if I found myself alone again, uh, I would do it, because then I wouldn't have anything to live for, come back for. But now I do. So um, now I'm going to watch young men go and do it, because I'm going to be 60 next month, and and if the thing gets to a reasonable degree of safety, I think I would go as a tourist. But if I go as a tourist, I got to have I got to get 2 tickets. So that would be the condition of it. Um, Getting over the disappointment of the space program is it's just something that's taken me a long time to get used to, and I don't I no longer miss it the way I thought I would. So so it's time to do good things here. I think I have to say, and this is certainly not any surprise to my wife, but um, I spend I'm talking about time off now, when I'm home after leaving here at 5 or 6, 7 in the evening, whatever. I'll spend an hour or two usually flying around and looking at strange new worlds, but I'm sitting with dual sticks and rudder pedals, and I'm getting 60 frames a second of what looks like flying, and um, I do a lot of what the game calls uh, decoupled landings. And what I mean by that is it's possible in that Star Citizen game for you to uh, fly the ship like a airplane, push it, go forward, turn and bank, and all the rest. But you can decouple it, and then all of a sudden these spaceships have have actual laws of physics, so that you are on a vector. It doesn't matter which way your nose is pointing anymore, and you've got to adjust that vector. And I just, ever since I started playing this thing a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, almost 2 years, almost, I just spend a lot of time doing decoupled landings. I like looking out the window and seeing a little tiny little landing strip out there, and I'm heading towards it, and I'm watching my descent rate. It's all visual. I don't have any instruments for this. And I cut the descent a little bit, and then I just scream side slip to the left there. Good. Get her forward, slow her down, slow her down, slow her down. Let's cut the descent rate a little bit. Get it pretty much right over the pad. Okay, 0 forward velocity, nose down, get it level. And then just before you hit the ground, just a little pop on the thruster, just a little twist. And cushions these landings. And that fulfills some enormous part of me. And usually, if I'm really wired from a day at work, I'll just go and spend an hour in Arena Commander and just do nothing but shoot down bad guys at extreme long range. And this is something I've had in me since I was a little kid. I can't tell you how many hours of flight simulators I've spent. It's got to be tens of thousands of hours, at least that, I would think. And whether it's in biplanes or whether it's in World War II fighters like a Corsair, or whether it's in an F-16 simulator, or whether it's in a spaceship simulator, all of them are doing, at least what the things that I enjoy, they're doing pretty much the same thing. And what it is it's a targeting solution. It's there's some part of my brain that just absolutely is addicted to pulling lead on a target and putting lead on that target. And it doesn't matter if it's a biplane that's flying at 100 miles an hour or a spaceship's flying 1,000 miles an hour. It's still a question of where is that vehicle going to be when my shots arrive, and where do I have to put the shots so he will fly into them. And some part of my brain, it's a very deep level thing because I don't think about it. It's just relaxing for me to go in there and just blow up probably 200-300 guys a day. Doesn't take me too long, maybe an hour. And it really fulfills something and the sense of landing. And that sense of I am actually flying. I can go here. I can go there. I can just go, and I get to fly over terrain that's more interesting than Southern California is, because I've seen all of Southern California in 1,000 hours. I've been everywhere, man. I've been everywhere. So that has a big, enormous calming effect on me. That's how I calm down, is get out there and just light the afterburners, pickle a target, pull lead on him, and watch him explode. Okay, I will. I'm going to, and by the way, I'm done with this question, so it's a good place to move on.